amendment of the new housing bill are currently in the Senate House, where senators are debating on the changes being made in certain clauses in the bill. In today's sittings, senators voted yes to the changes in the new bill. However, according to Senator Moses Kajwang, the public should be involved in the reforms being made. Our political affairs reporter Edward Nyamu followed the Senate proceedings and filed the following report.
Temperatures escalated in today's Senate sitting after Homa Bay Senator Moses Kajwang proposed that the recommendations should be done after public participation.
Order, senators.
Which community?
Order,
the
senators.
traditions of the House are dictated by the standing orders. So I dare anybody else to stand up and read.
Order, senators. Order, senators. Order, senators. Order. Let us have some order.
The differences between the minority side and the majority side escalated when Senator Edwin Sifuna moved to support Senator Kajwang, who was heckled during his submission.
Mr. Chair, the question is this an act that is going to serve us for 1 year or 2 years, or it's an act that will serve us for the next 100 years? What time frame are we legislating on? If you put it in law and cast it in stone, that a person cannot acquire more than one affordable housing unit, what if we get to the point where this project, assuming has become so successful that all Kenyans who wish to apply have applied and have been allocated housing units? Are you going to shut down the scheme? Are you going to then come back to Parliament to amend it so that the next round of Kenyans can benefit? Mr. Chair, we must be very careful with the manner in which we legislate. And we must also ensure that whenever we make amendments at the committee stage of the House, we ask ourselves whether those amendments have been subjected to public participation.
The submission of the reforms, however, continued with senators tabling their recommendations, and according to Senator for Makueni County Daniel Manzo, there should be clear details on how housing units will be allocated to Kenyans to mitigate corruption cases.
My issue with this particular amendment, Mr. Speaker, kindly, B, may apply for the board for approval of issuance of an affordable mortgage to develop a rural affordable housing unit, Mr. Speaker.
Senators, can we hear him in silence? Senator,
Mr. Speaker,
please take a seat.
Mr. Speaker, this particular amendment begins to contradict the whole purpose of the housing, and it goes into to create a situation whereby some people get more privileged than others, and it creates discrimination, which, you may enrich some people more than others, and there should be a way of limiting to make sure if it's affordable housing, it is a unit for everyone across board, so that if you have to do round two, then it balances. You don't begin round two when somebody else doesn't have a house yet and they are deserving. So it is discriminative, Mr. Speaker. I submit.
The voting of the bill saw 28 senators voting yes to the recommendations being made, with 11 of the senators voting no to the amendments. However, the minority side opposed the voting, saying that the reforms should be made clear to the public.
When you look at the 4th and 3rd schedule of the Constitution, in devolved function and national government functions, it is cross-cutting. So, 4th schedule, it is cross-cutting, Madam Speaker. And therefore, it is misnomer to say housing is fully devolved. Yet when it comes to policy and implemented, it is shared between both the national and county government. So, Madam Speaker, I think the committee is in order.
Why we're saying limiting these houses to one person? For one individual, one house. Because you can own 100 wives, you can have 10 kids, you can have 20 kids. But what they're saying is these houses are meant for the poor people and for the low-income housing, guys.
Some of the reforms being made is on the government's contribution towards counties for houses constructions, with Senator Karungo Dhangwa moving the motions to ensure that counties get 0.5% instead of 2% that was earlier stated in the bill.
Mr. Speaker, these amendments seek to reduce payment that may be made to the Kenya Revenue Authority for the services provided from the current 2% to 0.5%. This is because the authority is already mandated to carry out the task of collection of payment due to government. And also, Mr. Chair, this amendment seeks to facilitate the county committees to carry out their functions.
The housing bill continues to raise reactions among leaders, with the two houses still debating on whether to consider the changes being made in the bill, particularly on the taxation amount. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.